As much as we as fans love NHL hockey from the entertainment standpoint, when it boils down to it, professional hockey is a job. With that being said, most players are content with where they're at, meaning that they're okay with the state of the team, teammates, and the city around them. However, there's always those few, each and every season, that voice their discontent with their current predicaments. In this video, we're going to go over a few players that are suspected to be disgruntled. We'll go over things such as contracts, the current state of each player's respective team, and the outlook for them moving forward. And with that, here are 3 NHL players that want to be traded. If you've been following my channel or John Gibson's career for a few years, then you'll know fair and well that Gibson's name and trade request have been used in the same sentence for a while. Back in 2022, there was a lot of suspicion surrounding the netminder's loyalty to his longtime team. It all started with the claim on social media made by Sportsnet's Nick Alberga. However, according to him, Gibson said that he was open to being traded and that he had formally informed his team of this. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth on the matter, as you'll quickly realize. After Gibson got wind of Alberga's claims, he quickly refuted it by saying, quote, "None of that is true," end quote. However, in June of 2023, yet again, another NHL insider, this time, it was Frank Saravalli, that stated that Gibson told his team that he didn't want to play another game in a Ducks jersey. And while Gibson still showed up for training camp, it's not hard to understand why he wouldn't want to. Drafted in 2011 by the Ducks, Gibson has been around for more than one era when it concerns the franchise, as he was in the earlier stages of his career when Anaheim was actually competitive and making postseason appearances. He's witnessed multiple players come and go as the front office has been forced to start from scratch. Gibson has shown flashes of brilliance, especially when his team was in a better state. However, as I alluded to, the team has taken a step back. Well, so has Gibson's stats. Another important piece to this puzzle is the fact that Gibson has found himself for the first time not being the starting goaltender. In fact, he's been replaced by Lucas Dostal and is now the backup. But this move has worked out for the Pittsburgh native, at least statistically, as a lesser workload has allowed for Gibson to maintain an above .900 save percentage for the first time in nearly 3 years. According to NHL insider Pierre LeBrun, it's been mutually agreed upon by Gibson, his agent, and the Ducks that a trade would be the best thing for all parties. Gibson, who will be a free agent in 2027, has a contract that carries with it a $6.4 million per year price tag. However, considering that starting goalies are typically making $8.5 million or more a season, Gibson's cap hit isn't looking as impossible for suitors to take on today. Also, according to Saravalli in the article I'll link below, he believes that Anaheim would be open to retaining salary should a trade commence. A few potential destinations for Gibson include the Pittsburgh Penguins, Carolina Hurricanes, and the Edmonton Oilers. However, it's important to remember that Gibson does have some control over his fate, considering that the netminder has a modified no-trade clause. In the event of a trade, Gibson would hypothetically be allowed to submit a 10-team no-trade list. Drafted in 2022, second overall by the Devils, Simon Nemec presented himself as an excellent skater that could eat minutes. Nemec was impressively drafted at the highest position that any Slovakian-born defenseman has ever been. Besides this, he's also helped his country secure its first medal in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. Therefore, taking this into consideration, it would be reasonable to believe that Nemec would eventually become a regular on the Devils roster. However, as most of us know, it's not just skill that players need to become successful in the NHL, but also a little bit of luck. And unfortunately, Nemec hasn't been dealt the best hand. After playing in 60 games last campaign and recording 19 points for New Jersey, Nemec found himself unable to secure a roster spot this season. The Devils have a problem that most teams would love to have. they have a surplus of right-shot D-men. Dougie Hamilton, Brett Pesce, and Jonathan Kovacevic have all proven to be capable enough to maintain the right side of the blue line. And due to this fact, for the most part, Nemec has found himself being a healthy scratch outside of the 9 games that he's played for the Devils. Instead of competing in the show, Nemec, now 3 seasons in, concerning his NHL career, has been mostly playing for the Devils' farm team, the Utica Comets. Earlier this month, the defenseman's honest thoughts on his situation were revealed via an interview with Slovak reporter Tomas Prokop. It's a business, but on the other hand right now, I can't remember any number 2 draft pick that went to the farm for a 3rd year. It's still too early to request a trade. If this situation continues, it will have to be addressed, he says. So basically, he said he's unhappy where he's at, but he's trying to be patient and wait things out. This, of course, has sparked a lot of trade talk involving the disgruntled D-man. The most popular potential landing spot for Nemec seems to be the Montreal Canadiens, and for good reason. The team is young and has a roster full of future promise. Currently, Nemec is signed to a modest contract that pays an average of $918,000 annually and will be a UFA in 2026. And now, unsurprisingly, we've ended up back in Vancouver, in this video as well, where most of the current drama seems to reside. However, this time, we're not going to be talking about JT Miller. Thatcher Demko, longtime goalie and mainstay in BC, has been one of many names on the Canucks roster that's been in the trade rumor mill. Reason being, here recently, former NHL coach Doug MacLean dropped a bombshell on the Real Kipper and Bourne podcast about Vancouver's netminder. I hear that Demko is not that excited to get into the net right now, MacLean says. I'm hearing Demko doesn't want to play in Vancouver. Now, it's important that we treat this one with a little apprehension when it comes to straight validity. What we know for sure is that the Canucks are probably the most dysfunctional team in the league at the moment. We also know that Elias Pettersson and JT Miller have been feuding, which would naturally make the locker room a pretty chaotic and uncomfortable place to be. Also, what we also know is that Kevin Lankinen has been the hot hand in net for the majority of the season. Initially, Lankinen was thrust into the starting role due to Demko's injury. However, since Demko's return, he's still been starting in more games than his tandem partner. Even though his stats have slumped some this campaign, Demko's stellar performance last season is still pretty recent. As a goaltender who was a Vezina finalist, finished with a .918 save percentage. Knowing that he's not far removed from playing some pretty competitive hockey, this could attract some teams that are looking for help in net. A couple of teams that have come to mind are the Pittsburgh Penguins and Carolina Hurricanes. Knowing that the Pens have waived Tristan Jarry's contract says that they're not satisfied with his mediocre play. Demko has 2 years left on his contract that sports an AAV of $5 million. In conclusion, it will be pretty interesting to see where these few players end up and if they'll remain where they are once the deadline comes and goes. If you enjoyed this video and aren't subscribed, please consider doing so for more NHL themed content. I'd like to take this time to thank my amazing patrons and give them a shout out: Hunter B, Patrick K, Thosha G, and Fluttergirl. If you'd like to support me and my YouTube endeavors, you can do so for just $1 a month on Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.